White House officials are furious with Bill Pultz, the Federal Housing Finance Agency director, who talked the president into suggesting a 50-year mortgage plan. On Saturday evening, Pult arrived at Donald Trump's Palm Beach Golf Club with a roughly 3x5 poster board in hand. A graphic of Franklin Roosevelt appeared below 30-year mortgage and one of Trump below 50-year mortgage. The headline was Great American Presidents. Man, he is insanely easy to appeal to, huh? You really could get communism in this country if you just gave him the right billboard. You could get a 5-minute pitch, and just an elevator pitch to Trump, and you could get anything done that you wanted to. Roughly 10 minutes later, Trump posted the image to Truth Social, according to one of the people familiar who was with the president at the time. Brilliant. Yeah, there's been a big backlash because basically anyone... F you, Politico. F you. Because basically anyone with even like a minute amount of knowledge about how mortgages work is aware of the fact that a 50-year mortgage is insane. But Trump has never had, well, maybe he's had a mortgage. I don't know. Trump, I'm going to guess Trump's probably not plugged into the like concerns of the proletarian housing market. You know, he's probably not that on the ground. Do you think he convinced them because 50 is greater than 30? Genuinely? Yes. I don't think that Trump understands anything about anything anymore. I think he's gone. I think that 50 years is more than 30 years. And that was pretty much... You're telling me this mortgage was so strong it's going to last for 50 years? History will remember you fondly. The White House was blindsided by the idea, now dealing with a furious backlash from conservative allies, business leaders, and lawmakers. It is an idea that appeals to literally no one. Almost immediately, aides were fielding angry phone calls from those who thought the idea, which would endorse a 50-year payback period for a mortgage, was both bad politics and bad policy, a move that could raise housing costs in the long run, the person said. Genuinely, nobody benefits from this. It's such a long mortgage period that the instability of, like, the inherent risk of offering these mortgages outweighs the additional interest that you would get as a bank. Nobody likes it. It's a policy that appeals to no one. Why did he pitch it, you know? It's crazy. He just sold POTUS a bill of goods that wasn't necessarily accurate, the person said. He said, FDR did it, you can do it, it's going to be a big thing. Yeah, that sounds like how I would pitch something to Donald Trump. But he didn't tell him about all the unintended consequences. The implicit acknowledgement from a White House aide that Trump has no idea what's going on at any point. Anything that goes before POTUS needs to be vetted, said the person present for Pult's poster presentation, and a lot of the times with Pulta, they're not. He just goes straight to POTUS. Again, implicit acknowledgement that they know Trump is so far gone that they need to gatekeep information he has access to, because otherwise he might find out this whole thing is unwinding. I still truly believe, by the way, that Trump believes everything that he says. I don't think he's consciously lying at all. When he says he won 2020, when he says he's the most popular president in history, when he says there's no inflation, I think he thinks he's telling the truth. I really do. I do not think he's capable of lying. He has no filter, none whatsoever. If he, yeah, his mind is a sieve. There's no way. And he'll believe anything, especially if it's flattering, that you tell him. So if you just walk up to him and say, hey, Mr. President, the radical left is furious because you've ended inflation and also your popularity is through the roof, he'll just believe it and he'll confidently repeat it. This is why he's better in interviews than J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance will try to outsmart you futilely when you present him information that he doesn't like. Trump will just barrel through it, like with no awareness, actually like arguing with the wall. Trump knows he's right, whereas J.D. Vance knows that he isn't. I agree. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of putting it. Yeah, 100%. Trump speaks and acts with all the confidence of a person who knows that he's right, and J.D. Vance speaks with all the confidence of a person that he knows he's a snake. Yeah. Trump on Monday downplayed the proposal and said it was not, quote, a big deal. All it means is you pay less per month, Trump said on Laura Ingraham's show. Pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. Oh my God, he has no idea. Can I find that? One second. Did they put that segment on the... Okay, the only thing I've seen recently with Trump and Ingraham is this.
Another one thing with gold.
Why not silver?
You can't imitate gold, real gold. There's no paint that imitates
So
gold.
these aren't like from Home Depot or something?
No, this is not Home Depot stuff.
No, not stuff you buy.
This is not Home Depot.
Does anyone else feel like Laura Ingraham is a little bit more fed up of, how do I put this? She's a little bit worse at concealing her contempt for the fact that over the course of her lifetime, the conservative project has turned into like a big evil empire, into a shamelessly stupid oligarchical grift fest. I just think she's miserable generally. I think that she has a very high opinion of herself, and I've never gotten the impression Laura's stupid. I don't think she's stupid. And I think that's her downfall here a little bit. She can't like flaunt the shameless stupidity of this administration. You know what I mean? She can't like revel in it.
Housing costs are still out of reach. And another thing that your administration is trying to tackle, many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad for the country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home.
Fell for it again, by the way. Fell for it again. No other way of putting it, right? This is very much like a cucked deep state bugman move. You will own nothing and you will be happy with it, you know? Yeah, why not just rent the home from your bank forever, essentially?
Outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is you pay something less.
40, he doesn't know. He's gone. He's gone.
From 30, that some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and
genuine embarrassment on his part, by the way. Like he was proud of this proposal because some walked up to him and showed him a poster that said he would be the next FDR. And Trump proudly talked about it. And now everyone's mad. And he's like, well, I mean, it's not even this is genuine embarrassment on his part, you know? Narcissist flustering.
I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months.
Very good. Very good.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent sparring with George Stephanopoulos yesterday after
Really?
Bessent called out the host shutdown hypocrisy. Listen here.
George, the best
Shut up.
the government.
They were willing to shut.
Too is because the government is a
Talk
major
about the
source
mortgages.
way to do this, right? There's
$1 a month principal. President Trump, we can indeed work on the 50-year mortgage,
There's
a
Pulse.
complete game changer. How does that work in dollars? Here you go, 30-year fixed mortgage right now.
What I want to know is like who talked to Pult to make him propose this to Trump, you know? This has got to be, because it had to be a bank, right? No one else would even consider bringing this up. So there's somewhere in like one of the major banks down there on Wall Street, whatever, one of the major banks is like, I want to gamble. I want to gamble so bad. Nobody's getting new mortgages because nobody can afford new homes. I'm not getting my gambling fix. I want to gamble. Please, God, give me the world's most poorly secured loans possible so I can package them, pretend they're AAA certified, and then go run amok with them. The banks already came out, said they don't want this. I bet you one bank does. There's some lunatic, some coke-addled fiend, VC dipshit running one of those banks, doing 80 lines every morning for breakfast, and he's like, I just need it. I just want to gamble. Just give me the 50-year mortgages to gamble on. I don't care anymore. Is one of them. And he got to Pult, and Pult proposed it to Trump, and Trump immediately Truth Socialed it, and now everyone's mad at Trump. That's the only thing that I can think of having happened here.
You're paying $2,038 a month principal and interest on a $400,000 home. At the bottom, under 50 years, you'd save a couple $100 a month at $1,822 principal and interest. That is proposed. Do you like this idea?
I do not like this idea. And again, it depends on how much the house.
I wonder how long the average car. What's the standard car? Is it 96 right now? I've never actually bought a car. I've always just transfer them like between friends and stuff. Is it 96 month? 5 years? Okay, 5. What is that? That's 60. Okay, 60 is better. I wonder if in my lifetime we're gonna see like greater than 100-month standard car loan time periods. 96 is insane. The only reason I said 96 is because I feel like I remembered seeing a commercial that said 96 at some point. Maybe I'm off on that. 5-year car loans are insane. What does that work out to a month? Like on average, like ballparking it, regular vehicle cost, 400, 450? I don't actually, I guess I don't have like good mental math on what a car should cost, I guess. Or sorry, on what a good car loan period should be. $500 for a $35,000 car. Okay, okay. Sometimes this happened. I never saw this in LA, but I see it all the time in like rural Washington. The amount of like restored Ford Broncos that I see out in the sticks, it makes me wish, God, I wish we still made good cars here. I don't even know if the Bronco performs well. It probably doesn't. Like relative to modern cars, it probably doesn't perform that well. But they're so beautiful. Two-tone cars are like two-tone with a stripe. Broncos and Grand Cherokees. Oh my God, they're so beautiful. American cars suck. Yeah, I'm not defending the internals. I'm just talking about like, I don't know, the style. Okay, what's the most American car? It's not the Bronco. It's the Ford. It's the pickup truck that's two-tone. What's the No, not the F-150. No, before from like the 80s. Am I thinking the Ranger? No, no, I'm not thinking the Ranger. Smaller than that. Smaller than that. Model T. No, not a f***ing Model T, you idiot. I see so many of these out in the sticks. They make me so happy to see. Shit like this, you know? This to me is the most American car. I think a lot of people would probably agree. Just beautiful. Don't make them like that anymore. You know? My uncle owned a car like this. For a while everyone did, but we just all decided to make our cars stupid and ugly. So pretty. That's a truck? Yeah, but this truck is basically the size as a modern like SUV. Like it's not a Ford F-150. It's hard to see until you like see it next to, but like the pickup trucks from the 1980s were far smaller than the modern trucks, you know? Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. I didn't mean to.
Cost and what, but if you just took a 4% interest rate, for a 30-year it would be $2,300, for a 50-year it would be $1,900. So you're saving almost $500 a month. And
Vaush owns one of these, doesn't he? No.
in terms of
I don't have the skill set to maintain an older car. It's very difficult. Or well, maybe it's not super difficult depending on what you start with. But you do have to know some stuff.
But by the time you finish paying this bad boy off, the 30-year you pay $359,000 versus a 50-year almost $700,000, right?
Oh,
so it's
wow.
just a gargantuan difference just to make people feel better, you know, and that's not the way to do this, right? There's so many other ways. I feel so strongly about the momentum that we'll have going into next year. The one big beautiful bill kicks in. We'll have a more accommodative Federal Reserve. You know, I think economic activity is going to build. Companies will be encouraged to build here because they'll be able to write a lot of that off. I think we're on the precipice of an economic boom, and with lower mortgage rates, that will help the housing market a lot. So this, I
want to see a little bit more about the backlash that he's experiencing. This video is from 2 days ago, so I think Trump hints at game-changing move for aspiring homeowners.
President Trump
there's the
posting an
fucking
image suggesting he will be proposing 50-year mortgages, a move his federal housing director confirms.
I don't know why Vaush advocates for trucks but hates motorcycles. I don't advocate for trucks. Why do you guys always simplify everything that I say? There's a specific model of truck that I think is very beautiful, and they don't even make them anymore. Also, motorcycles are way more dangerous and loud. The main thing that bothers me is the noise, man, okay? Trucks just have a normal... They sound normal.
Are indeed working on, promising to be a, quote, game changer. Here with what that could mean for you and your wallet, former Trump economic advisor Stephen Moore. So great to see you this morning, Stephen. So what would a 50-year mortgage even look like?
Great to be with you, Charlie. Well, I had just heard about this idea yesterday and pondering it. Look, here's what would happen if you had these 50-year mortgages. Your monthly mortgage payment would go down, right, Charlie, because you're paying that mortgage over 50 years.
I think a lot of people who watch me probably don't understand how big of a deal this is, but you got to understand that, like, for a lot of Americans, your existing homeownership or the prospect of future homeownership is a central pillar around which a lot of your life revolves. It's a huge deal. So for the president to come out with his bold new plan to make housing affordable, 50-year mortgages, it's such a like, okay, imagine if you put all your hopes, all your faith in a presidential candidate who said that they were going to revitalize American infrastructure, and you like them, like this is a good president, you're really amped up for it, okay? And then one day, and nothing gets discussed for months and months and months. You're just waiting. One of these days he's gonna bring it up, and then one day he's like, I've got a plan. What if we just built a big maglev that goes in a loop around the country, so you can hop on at New York and it loops around the north, and then you can stop in Seattle or LA as you wish, and then it's just one big loop, so it's simple, it's easy to maintain because there's just one track. And like that's all he said. It would, like, even if you were a idiot, which you watch me, you might be, you would immediately realize not only how nothing is going to change, but also how stupid and unserious your guy is. Most Americans who are involved in any way with homeownership are immediately aware of how bad the idea of a 50-year mortgage sounds. People's guts clench at the idea of signing a 30-year mortgage. It's 30 years. That's most of your, well, it's not most of your life, but it's, you know, it's most of your working life, right? If you say, especially since the new average age for a first-time home buyer is 40, that's like most of the rest of your life, you know?
Rather than say 20 or 30 years. So if you want to make housing more affordable in the very short term, that might be a good way to bring down monthly mortgage payments, but then you're going to pay for a long, long time. You're going to be paying that mortgage payment for most of your life. And so that's a question of whether it makes sense financially to people.
Yeah.
But right now, where people are
You're signing up for possible generational debt. You can't even build generational wealth anymore, because if you are unable to pay off that mortgage, you can't pass that down to your family. Like, if you die if you buy the house at 40 and you're not able to pay it off by the time you're 90, which good luck paying those mortgage bills off of your, you know, your Social Security payments continuously. The bank repossesses it if you ever lapse in your well, not lapse, you know, but if you fall behind in your payments, your kids aren't going to see that shit unless your kids are willing to stay with you. Are your kids going to stay in that house with you in your 80s and 90s? Can accept the debt, like, sign on to accepting your mortgage. 50 years from now, you have no idea what the life's even going to look like. What the world is going to look like, you know? It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Struggling to find a home where they can meet those
This guy looks
mortgage
like
payments.
J.D. Vance.
It might make sense for people. By the way, the federal government should also be issuing 50-year debt, because interest rates are low. It'd be a way for us to lock in low interest rates, so that if we had a huge spike in interest rates in the future, we wouldn't be in a real problem situation financially.
And so, of course, after 30 years, if you had a 50-year mortgage, after 30 years, the way banks structure loans, you probably still wouldn't own, but about 10%, actually own, but about 20% of your house.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You know, you want to build up equity in your home. That's why a lot of people, you know, when they have the financial means to do so, they speed up their mortgage payments. But listen, the problem with our housing situation right now really is so many restrictions on building multifamily homes in a lot of areas. By the way, I can tell you one city in America where housing prices are going to go way down. You know what city that is?
What's that?
New York?
New York City.
Yeah, because everyone's going to leave, because 10 squadrillion people are going to leave New York City, yeah, because of Mabdani.
He's going to move out.
Right, exactly.
So if you want to buy a house, maybe think about
Do you know why he threw that in, by the way? Because we're on Fox and Friends. Well, we're on I said I read Fox. I was going to say Fox. I saw Fox and Friends. We're not on Fox and Friends. We are on Fox. And he just realized he's been criticizing Donald Trump for several minutes straight. Totally, like, no through line. But because this is state media, they're like, wait, hold on. Mabdani, Muslim, black people. Good argument. This is a longer chunk from the clip with Ingraham.
Back now with more of my exclusive sit-down with President Trump. He reacted to all the attacks on
This is crazy, by the way. I don't understand. This is a very specific.
the ballroom construction. I also asked him a very important question about his faith. Michelle Obama had something to say about the ballroom and the new ballroom. During an event to promote her new book, she said, when we talk about the East Wing, it's the heart of the work. And to denigrate it, to tear it down, to pretend like it doesn't matter, it's a reflection of how you think of that role. Why is she wrong?
Well, first of all, the East Wing was a beautiful little tiny structure that was built many years ago that was renovated and expanded and disbanded and columns ripped out, and it had nothing to do with the original building. It was a poor, sad, the E9 people, 6 inches of water. But the East Wing in the middle, sarcastic. You know, it's bad for Donald Trump is now questioning his, but
Okay, never mind. They don't get into it in this clip. I'm glad they're having fun, though. Patriotism is surging. Huh. Fascinating. Fascinating. Well, anyway, yeah. I'm glad that he's getting backlash for this. Housing policy is one of those things that affects everyone so, like, intimately that it can actually break the cult spell a little bit. Is it just me, or has Ron DeSantis been kind of irrelevant in the past year? Yeah, he is. Or he has been, yeah. Because he tried to go up against Trump and failed. That's it. That's the only thing. The deep state, the neocons tried to set him up as a potential alternative to Trump because they're aware of the fact that Trump is mentally incompetent and unpredictable and self-destructive, and Ron DeSantis just flubbed horrendously. He was not capable of picking up that torch. Have we talked about Trump's healthcare plan? You mean the one where he just gives everyone money? Isn't this the one where he said, well, the money could come in any form, including like the money that you save through no tax on tips? No, it's nothing. It's literally nothing. As is always the case, it's a Groyper presidency, folks. It's a Groyper presidency, except he would meet with Netanyahu less if Fuentes was in charge. No actual interest in policy. Trump has no concern for it, which is why effectively no policies have been put forward. Like, we're almost a year into this presidency, and what's actually changed? Well, the power of the executive has been expanded, and ICE has been empowered, but what actual, policies have been implemented? See, the Nazis did implement policies. They actually were interested in governance. They were lunatics, but they did have a transformational plan for the country. It was a bad plan, but they did have a plan. That's not to say they weren't, making mistakes all the time or that they were competent or anything. They weren't, but they did have a plan. They had an interest in governing. I need to come up with a consistent term for this because right now all I have is content creator presidency, or influencer politics where, yeah, maybe that's the right way. Influencer politics. I gotta grain that in my head. Influencer politics. It doesn't matter what you say or what you argue for. You have no actual interest in governing. You just like the idea of using the platform of government to aura farm. And that's it. It's called grifting? No, because grifting is done for, grifting is when you lie for personal gain. More or less, ballparking it. In this case, I think it goes beyond that. Everyone in the presidential cabinet gets their turn during the cabinet meetings to stand up and aura farm for a second, They praise Donald Trump and then they talk about how epically they're doing stuff. They're not actually doing anything. None of them are doing anything. They're not even doing anything that benefits them. They're not succeeding. Donald Trump could be using his power right now to set in motion policies that would benefit him and secure his rule for longer or better, advantage white people or wealthy people. But he's not. They're not doing any of that. None of it's happening. Nothing's happening. Influencer occupied government. TikTocracy? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What happened to the TikTok ban, by the way? Trump illegally failed to comply with the sell-off date, and right now I believe a bunch of conservatives are pitching who gets to be the next czar over TikTok. Something like that. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. At this point, is the admin too self-absorbed to rig 2026? I mean, they're making it harder for themselves. You do have to put a little bit of effort in, basically.